going to get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Sharon Burns-Carter, and I am the Substance Use Coordinator for Rails Jewish Family Services. Welcome. If you look at your program, you will see the bio for Mark G. Astor, who will be presenting tonight. I've taken a little bit from that, but if you want any more... Okay. Mark G. Astor. Mark was born and raised in the United Kingdom in an Orthodox Jewish family until the age of 21. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Michigan in 1990, his Juris Doctorate from Nova Southeastern University College of Law in 1994, and his Master of Laws degree from American University Washington College of Law in 2005. Mark served the citizens of Palm Beach County as an assistant state attorney from 1994 to 1999. In 2005, Mark was admitted to the District of Columbia Bar. 2016, Mark founded Drug and Alcohol Attorney, which is a law firm dedicated to empowering and representing families and individuals who are in crisis because of drug, alcohol, and mental health disorders. Mark's team helps them navigate through the complexities of the Marchman Act process. Florida's involuntary assessment and treatment commitment statute, as well as assisting them in filing emergency temporary guardianships when needed. Mark's team can help to put in place a plan of action to not only get a person into recovery, but help them stay out of prison. When he's not working in his law practice, Mark empowers members of the community by teaching Krav Maga, the Israeli system of hand-to-hand combat taught in the military special forces and anti-terror units. It's the end of the bio. Personally, for better or worse, and I might have been a little jaded over the years, I have found it uncommon and maybe a little odd to meet an attorney like this guy. He and his colleague, Audra Simovich, had appeared to be very invested in the work they were doing. I had sensed this, and it was reinforced last week when Mark and I were sitting across from each other during the recording of Mark's podcast, The Journey. He was interviewing me to get the word out about tonight's event. That was last Monday, and Mark had had a difficult weekend leading up to that. The adult child of a client family had overdosed and was in the emergency room. Mark was trying to call the duty judge over the weekend to get a court order so that this girl might be admitted to a detox and to treatment. The judge didn't answer and didn't call back. The girl was discharged from the hospital, and by Monday, she was doing drugs in a motel room. The investigator that Mark works with was at the motel trying to get her, along with law enforcement, into custody to transport her to a medical detox unit. While we were recording the podcast, Mark was getting calls from his investigator. He hadn't located her. She wasn't answering the door. We didn't say it to each other at the time, but I could see it. He was dreading the same thing I was. She wasn't going to make it. When the call came in that the investigator had her in custody and they were on the way to detox, I felt a relief, and it was then that we were able to talk about what we had feared. I can imagine both the paralytic fear her mom had been living with, and then the freedom that she was going to be experiencing when she heard from Mark. She would be able to breathe. Okay, so this is a guy. Okay, he's a lawyer that cares. This is not happy law. These are intense life and death family struggles. This is traumatic. I know what it's like being in the trenches, trying to aid and assist these individuals and their families. And I'm so grateful to have Mark G. Astor on the board of Rails JFS, on the committee of Rails JFS Cares, and on Team Recovery in our state. Please help me welcome Mark G. Astor.
That sounded really good, too. Yeah, it's easier. I'll believe that. Thanks, Sharon. Wow. So, this is a really serious topic. Really serious. It's my passion. It's what makes me out of bed every morning. But before we go into this, I wanted to share a story with you that I shared at my father's memorial service. My father died January 15th of 2017. It was a week after my 50th birthday, and he went unexpectedly. In fact, I was living with my parents for 2 years because my father was so sick. And I mean, the amount of times either my mother and I either rushed into the emergency room, or the amount of times we just wouldn't know why. I almost can't count them all, but needless to say, it's something that's fresh in my memory. And I was there on Saturday night when my mother came running into my room the morning of my father felt a bullet and hit his head, and that helped him demise. But I told this story at his memorial service. It's the story of the first Jewish president. So, the first Jewish president, the first Jew ever to win the presidency, calls down to his mother, who actually lives right here in Kings Point, in Delaware. And he said, Ma, he said, I don't know if you have been watching the news, but I won the election. I'm going to be the very first Jewish president in the entire United States. And I would really like you to come to D.C. in January, sit next to my vice president, and watch me take the oath of office as the first Jewish president of the United States. And she says, you know, Jaime, I would like to be there. I really would. But there's a couple of reasons I don't want to come. Number one, I have Mahjong every week at the Federation here in Delray. And I don't want to miss my game. My girls will miss me. But number two, it's really cold in D.C. in January. And truthfully cold. I'd rather be here in Delray. So he's okay, Mom. So he let it go for a couple months, and now it's getting closer to the inauguration time. We swear out in January after the November election. And he cools back down and says, Mom, I really, really want you to be there with me. It's important to me. And she says, well, you know, I'm not sure. He says, I'll tell you what, I'll buy you a brand new fur coat. You'll be warm. You'll sit there. You'll be snug as a bug in a rug next to my vice president. You watch me take the oath of office, and you'll be okay. She says, the new fur coat? He says, yes. She said, for a new fur coat, I'll be there. January comes around. They're right in front of the Capitol building. She's sitting there, and she watches the vice president get up. She's left hand on the Bible, right hand, and she's taking the oath of office, and the Chief Justice is Supreme Court. And then it's her son's time. It's her son's time. President claims, right? First Jewish president of the United States. So the vice president comes and sits down. There's her son. Left hand is on the Bible, right hand is ready to take the oath of office. And she looks at his vice president and she says, you know, his brother's a doctor. You know, it's like my father's memorial, so you got the same reaction. That's good, right? So our firm is called Drug and Alcohol Attorneys, because we are attorneys, but there's a couple of reasons that I don't, normally when I meet people, I don't tell them right out of the gate that I'm an attorney. The first reason is that my father, who imparted many words of wisdom on me, and I didn't realize how many words of wisdom that he had imparted on me until he was gone, used to tell me that he hated all lawyers except for me. So I became a little paranoid. But the second reason, and probably perhaps the more important reason that I don't tell people that I'm an attorney, is because it's a very small part of what Audra and Archie, our other public lawyers, do. What we do is we help moms and dads whose kids are in crisis because of addiction and mental illness. And we take calls all day long, all week long, from moms and dads, most of whom are out of state, and they call us because their kids are down here dealing with issues of addiction and mental illness, and they either won't go to treatment or they won't stay in treatment long enough for that miracle of treatment and recovery to take place. So that's what we do. And in fact, I'll tell you, I think the last 14 days we worked 13 of them. And I only took last Saturday off because I went to get my mum a new car, and then actually had a call from a family. I had to take a call in the parking lot of the dealership, so I really did kind of work half day Saturday. So this is sort of the nature of what we do. And you can't really work in our industry, and I say our industry, meaning treatment providers, clinicians, therapists. It's not a 9-to-5 job Monday through Friday. It really isn't. Oh, I got this working. So Sharon touched on my story just a little bit, and she's right. From 94 to 99, I was an assistant state attorney, and in fact, I actually was a certified legal intern in 1993. So my second year of law school, I got an opportunity to clerk for a very famous PI lawyer down in Fort Lauderdale, and the plan was I was going to clerk all through the summer, which would have been 1993. And a week into the clerkship, I got into a bit of a tete-a-tete with one of the partners, and he fired me. So imagine having to tell the guy you got fired, right? So I had an internship planned with the state attorney's office, and I called my professor and I basically said, can I start my internship a little bit early? And he said, well, how early do you want to start it? And I said, well, can I do an extra 3 months because I just got fired and I don't have any plans for the whole summer. So basically I spent 6 months as a certified legal intern with the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office, working for our old state attorney, Barry Krisha, who, I mean, if he had to give me a job, I'd probably be out of Southern or something. So I spent 6 months there and ended up, they hired me in April of 94, which was good, because that was the only job I applied for, interviewed for, and wanted. I wasn't a very good law student, but I loved being in the courtroom. I was comfortable in front of an audience. I don't know where that came from, because my mother told me I was a very shy young child. But anyway, one of the things that I realized very early on, even as a young prosecutor, was that most of the people that were there because they had either issues of addiction or mental illness. It's not to say that we don't have bad people, doing horrible things, right? Murder, rape, robbery, all that other fun stuff. But most of the people are there and continue to come back because they have issues of addiction and mental illness. So I spent 5 years there, and then my father said to me, hey, why don't you come work for the family business? So here's my dad, wanted nothing more than have his oldest son working with him. And I went to work with my dad, I did some criminal defense work, and I have to tell you, well, working in a family business and doing criminal defense work was far more lucrative than being a prosecutor. From a professional standpoint, I was absolutely miserable. Absolutely miserable. I got married. I married a girl who was younger than me, who had a terrible drinking problem. I was very young, very mature, and that created a very combustible situation. Within a year, the marriage was over. So now I was professionally unhappy and personally unhappy, and I tried everything that I could not to practice law. I ran off to California for 3 years, ran off to the real estate and stock market crash, and whatever money I had left, I had a good time with for 3 years. I took the California bar twice, failed it twice, and then my father got sick, so I had to come home. And while he was sick, I decided to take the California bar one more time just to make sure I hadn't gotten it wrong the first time. I failed it the first time. I realized that maybe the universe was trying to tell me something. I was supposed to be here. So while my father was dealing with his issues, I got an opportunity to work for a company in Miami called How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And the guy that started the business, incidentally, actually went to law school with us. He was a couple of years behind us. I didn't know him, but he went to law school with us. And the idea behind How to Manage a Small Law Firm was to teach lawyers the business side of the practice. Right? Because in law school, a bit like doctors and chiropractors and dentists, they don't teach us how to get client law on through the front door, sell the right legal service, and grow our business. Okay, but what they really were was a personal growth company. And they believed that personal growth had to precede financial growth, right? You have to start to, you have to get the right mindset, okay? And as a result of that, I realized two very, very important things. Number one, the world does not revolve around me. And number two, if I was going to enjoy being a lawyer again, I had to be somewhere else helping people. Because when I was a prosecutor making money, I was always helping somebody, right? You get victims of crimes, you sort of move up the ladder. So, prosecuting these violent felony offenders, and you might have the family that deceive you, right? You're really looking to get them some closure, right? Get over the justice for them. You can't bring the loved one back, but you can close. So, after about a year there, working with solo and small law firms, the founder of the company came to me and said, Mark, I can see you're not happy. What's the matter? And I said, well, look, I've been a lawyer 21 years now. It's time. I want to do my own thing. He said, well, what do you want to do? So I said, well, I was a prosecutor for many years. I've done defense for many years. I'll open up a phone, do criminal work. And he said, well, okay, that sounds like, that might be okay. There's a million criminal lawyers out there. Is there anything else that might motivate to get out of bed anymore? So I said, I know this sounds weird. I said, well, I know throughout my life I'm surrounded by people in recovery. People who have issues with addiction, mental illness, even within their own family. And he said, well, then why don't you build a business helping those people? And I said, I can do that. He said, I know, you're a lawyer, go figure it out. So that's what he did. I went online and started reading about the Marchman Act. So the Marchman Act, the slide's next, but we'll have a go. All right, we'll go back to that in a second. So the Marchman Act is Florida's involuntary commitment statute for people who have substance abuse and cold-party mental illness. it basically, and I'll talk about it in more detail in a minute, but it basically allows me to go get a court order and basically have somebody commit this treatment. So I figured, well, I know, I'll take my experience in the criminal world and I'll combine it with smart trafficking, and I can help a ton of people. And then Audra and I, we actually turned out we had our offices in the same building, and I was just one day at a social event. She started telling me she does guardianship work. She practices in Massachusetts, she practices down here. And I said, well, tell me about this whole guardianship thing. What does that mean? And she said, well, people getting a little older. I felt like when my father was older and was having issues with dementia and some stroke damage, and really he couldn't make decisions for himself that were in his own best interest. So you can go to court, and over a period of months, you can go to court, you get a court order which allows you to make financial or medical decisions for your, older parents if they can't make them right now. And I said, well, okay, so let me ask you a question. Say, what's the difference between, say, somebody like my dad and a child who's 25 years old who has issues of addiction and anxiety and depression and schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder? What's this from a legal perspective in terms of rationality, the ability to make rational decisions between that child and my dad? Nothing. From a legal perspective, it's the same thing. And she said also, this is a section of the guardianship statute that allows us to go to court on an emergency basis. Instead of taking months and months and months to get a court order, I can get you in court in 24 to 48 hours. And I said, perfect. This is the missing piece. Because why don't you get a child who either doesn't have an addiction issue, right? Maybe it's purely mental illness, and I'll give an example of one of those cases, or I just don't have enough proof to get me through the market that court, right? Maybe I just don't have. And I've had parents call me and I say, they tell me, my kid's using it. I say, well, how do you know? I just know, right? And perhaps as the mother or the father, you do just know. You see, magistrates and judges need a little bit more than I just know. They need evidence to support the law, which means rules of procedure, evidence, and things like that. They all apply, so you've got to be able to prove the case. But if we know we have some issues of mental illness where that person potentially causes a threat to themselves or somebody else, then we can use the guardianship statute to really accomplish the same thing that we would do with the martial act. So, just to back up a second, when it comes to our criminal system, so sometimes we're in criminal court because, unfortunately, the nature of these diseases mean that kids make silly decisions. The mandate in Florida is to punish. And this is right out of Florida statutes. The primary purpose of sentencing is to punish the offender. Rehabilitation is a desired goal of the criminal justice system, but it's subordinate to the goal of punishment. Punish first, rehabilitate second. And then we wonder why we have this revolving door of the courthouse, why people go in and they go out. Well, because we're looking to punish them first and not help them. That's what we're doing, punishing people. And so, every year we're spending millions of dollars to put people in prison, but we could use that money to well, I think in Palm Beach County we spend $50,000 a year on each prison, housing, feeding, and whatever else we do with it. Imagine what we could do with $50,000. I bet we get a ton of treatment for $50,000. There we go, $50,000. I knew it was there somewhere. 3 months. So we do have a first-time offender program here in Palm Beach County. So kids that get caught with weed, first-time felony offenders, we have drug court, and actually we also have a veterans court here too. So provided you're not some guy who's out there trafficking pills and coke and heroin or fentanyl, there's a very good chance you get through some kind of diversionary system, which means the charges ultimately will get dropped. Now, a lot of the time, they want you to go through drug treatment. That's probably not a bad idea because it means there's a good chance you won't come back. The veterans court is a really neat idea, and we have one here in Palm Beach, and we have one in Broward. So I have a case right now where I have a guy, he's an air traffic controller in the Air Force. And after he heard, one of the traumas that he suffered from was hearing planes crash. He'd be on the radio with somebody who was in a plane that got shut down, and he would hear a pilot screaming as they went down. And just the trauma of every day took its toll. He became an alcoholic at the end of his marriage. He was getting DUIs left and right. Anyway, so the Veterans Court in Broward is run by a veteran. And so we got him into Veterans Court. He's been there a year now, clean, in recovery. I think it saved his marriage. And ultimately the case is going to get dropped. But he also has another DUI pending, I think somewhere on the West Coast. They don't have Veterans Court there, and guess what? He's going to get a back conviction. which is a shame because it means he loses his license, which affects his ability to go to work and all that other fun stuff. So it's a real shame. So why are our children dying? Okay, this is why our children are dying. So I'm not an expert in drugs, but I know enough about the kids that are marching acting and putting in treatment to tell you what's been going on here. So you've probably heard of the news about fentanyl and carfentanil. Those are tranquilizers. And the reason I have this photo up here is to sort of show you just how much more powerful these drugs are. So fentanyl, 40 to 50 times more potent than heroin. 80 to 100 times more potent than morphine. I mean, I think morphine is the stuff that you can put in your sleep when you go to surgery, right? So what's happening is the drug dealers are putting fentanyl and carfentanil into the heroin that the kids are getting on the street. So when they inject themselves, they're basically giving themselves a hot dose. And that's why, a hot dose can kill you right out of the gate. My brother, who is a doctor down at Baptist in Miami, did his residency at Mount Sinai. And he told me as part of that residency, he had to be in the emergency room. And he said the worst part of that job was when he had a child come in, 16, 17, 18. And they'd taken a hot dose that was lost for the last years. They had a hot dose that was laced with fentanyl. And what it did was, it set the kid in cardiac arrest, stopped their heart from beating. And by the time the emergency medical clinicians got there, the brain had been deprived of oxygen for 10 to 15 minutes dead. The brain dead. And he said the worst thing was to go out and tell mum or dad that their child was dead. It's the worst part of the job. So how do we as lawyers help? So I talked a little bit about the criminal courts, and I'm going to talk about the Marchman Act as well, because that's probably my favorite subject in the whole world right now. So the Marchman Act. We are one of only 2 states that has a statute like this. So there are 37 states in America that have some type of involuntary commitment statute. Alcohol, some is alcohol, some is drugs, some is mental illness, some is a combination of all those things. But Florida, other than Kentucky, is the only state that has a statute like the Marchman Act that basically allows you to involuntarily commit somebody to a substance abuse program for a period of up to 90 days, which can be repeated. So there are 3 ways. There are 3 ways a Marchman Act can be initiated. I'm going to talk about the one way that we're involved, but there are 2 other ways. So most of you probably heard about the Baker Act. I know we have solutions here, right? You hear, so-and-so the Baker Act, right? So the Baker Act can be initiated by either a clinician. Somebody's in your office, they say, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm going to kill my parents. Pick up the phone, say, hi, this is so-and-so, I'm a licensed mental health clinician. Would you please send a couple of deputies down and initiate a Baker Act, right? Or the police get called to the scene of an incident. Somebody goes, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm going to kill somebody. And they initiate a Baker Act. Now, here in Palm Beach, you're either going to the JFK in the north end of the county, or you're going to South County Mental Health here in Delaware. It's not a particularly nice place. So, the Marchman Act has 2 provisions just like that. So what that means is, if somebody was to come into the emergency room, the doctor in the ER could actually initiate a 72-hour hold and not let that person leave. That has not been happening here in Palm Beach County. In fact, they've been doing just the opposite. They've been letting people leave, and they walk out of the emergency room, they get out of the parking lot and overdose. They go right back in. So, I had this conversation with Dave Ehrenberg. So whenever the task force talks about the Marchman Act, Al Johnson, who runs it, is a former colleague of mine, so he only asked me to come up and talk to them. And I have told them that if they want to stop the revolving door in the emergency room, they need to start using the Marchman Act. So with the emergency provision, or protective custody, so licensed mental health counselor, police officer, they can initiate a 72-hour hold. Not let that person go. Just like under the Baker Act. The problem is, according to, I guess, the powers that be in Palm Beach, we don't have anywhere to put these people. So they let them go. They let them go. Personally, I think they could be putting them in the same place as the Baker Act. Better than keeping them there, but that's another story. The third way, and the way that we get involved, is when you file a petition with the court. So basically, what happens is we get a call. Typically, Audrey and I are getting a call from somewhere other than Florida. New York, Indiana, North Carolina. I've got a mother who's flying in, probably flew today, from the state of Washington. 3,000 miles she's flying. But that was the case. That was the case you talked about. So basically, we're talking about somebody who's really lost power of control, right? They can't make rash decisions. Why? Because they're a substance abusing parent, and they have issues of mental illness. And the two typically go together. It's rare to have one stand alone. And so basically, as a result of their usage, right, they're a danger to themselves, or maybe they're a danger to somebody else. They're driving drunk. They're a danger to somebody else. So, my brother told me that when he did his residency, so before he became a medical doctor, he was a holistic medical practitioner. So he can't be licensed as a naturopath in Florida. He can be licensed as an acupuncturist. So practice as an acupuncturist. And he just spent a lot of time with his patients trying to get to the root cause of what was really going on. Was, acupuncturist, another your whole body, right? He said, doing his residency, and somebody would come in and student doctor would say, yeah, you feel this for you. And they wouldn't spend any time to find out what's really going on. Right? What's the underlying cause? So in our office we call it triaging the case, right? Finding out what's really going on. So we had a case once. We got a call from a mom and dad. They were in Indiana. The daughter was down here. She was 31 years old. She had terrible drug problems. She had anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, and she was posting photographs of herself on Facebook with an assault rifle. And her parents called us and said, we want a Marshman Act for our daughter. We heard that you do this thing called the Marshman Act. We want her going into drug treatment. And after about an hour and a half of the call, the discovery was that when she was 16 years old, she told her parents for 2 years before that, when she was 14, she had been sexually assaulted by a teacher at school. And the parents sent her to see a psychiatrist who prescribed her medication. And so fast forward 15, 16 years, yeah, she was a drug addict with anxiety, depression, and all these other fun things that come along with it. So we ultimately actually did a Marshman Act and a guardianship, and while we were having her assessed, received solution, they ended up Baker Act. The Baker Act requires the family ultimately to go back to Illinois. But unless you ask those questions, you never get the right answer, right? Because something like that, you're not fixing that in 90 days of treatment. So part one, and by the way, I'm so used to doing this, I've kind of on autopilot, so if you have any questions, ask me. So part one is a period of assessment and stabilization. And basically what that means is that the court is not going to order somebody into treatment unless there's an expert there who can say, Judge, I did an assessment. I interviewed the person. I got their history from the family. And can tell the judge or the magistrate, based on what I observed, maybe the drug test, this person needs, maybe 6 days of residential plus 30 days of some kind of step-down treatment. Maybe they need longer than that, right? So we need to get them assessed. Now the assessment period can be initiated one of two ways. Either I can file a petition with the court and ask for a hearing, or I can do it the way that I do it, which is to do it without a hearing. So when I get a call from a family in Indiana or New York, we sit down for 2 hours. I type out a document, called the petition, which is a sworn document. I send it to them, they sign it, they go right, send it back to me, and I electronically file it. So when I was a lawyer way back in 1993, when I was 4, we didn't have this, the legal system was like 20 years behind everybody else, so we had to mail everything, right? Now we have this amazing electronic filing system that basically allows me to upload a pleading to any clerk of court in any county in the state of Florida, just by clicking a button. It's really phenomenal. So I will normally file an ex parte petition, and I will establish the criteria for a Marshman Act, and I will establish why I need a court order now, today, hours from now. Not days, not weeks, now. So the case that Sharon had actually talked about, that got me a little hot water with the chief judge down here, we had gotten a call. This mom was in the state of Washington, and she called me because her daughter had been found naked and unconscious after an overdose in a friend's house. And I think her husband went looking for her, saw her through the window. She was there lying there with no clothes on and unconscious. And he knew she was an addict. He knew what had happened. And he called 911 and they rushed to the emergency room. So this is a Friday night we got this call. 2 Friday nights ago. So by the time April was done, now it was 11 o'clock. And I'm thinking, well, I knew we basically had a 12-hour window. The mother said they're going to hold her, they're going to let her out within about 12 hours. Probably 10 the next morning, because obviously they don't hold anybody, you let them go, right? Got to stabilize, I'll hand her, took care of whatever they needed to take, and out she went. So when I was a young prosecutor, once a year we had the pleasurable experience of being the duty prosecutor, which meant we were on a 24-hour call. So back then we didn't have these wonderful toys. We actually had a beeper, right? And we thought that was really cool, by the way. Actually have a beeper, right? I'm getting beat. Yeah, that's not fun when it's 3 in the morning and Astor will ask you if he has probable cause to make an arrest, right? So you're on call 24 hours a day. That also means you get to go to close appearance. So in Florida, if you get arrested, you have to come before a judge within 24 hours to address the issue of false. So if you get arrested on a Friday night, Saturday morning, you're at court. Get arrested Saturday, Sunday morning, right? And it's a holiday, guess what? You're going to court on that holiday. So I said, well, it's a duty prosecutor, means it's a duty judge, right? And the duty judge is there. If the cops need an arrest warrant or a search warrant done in the middle of the night, so he's going to take that phone call and agree and sign off and sign the warrant, sign the application. So I said, I'm going to get the duty judge to come. So we called the sheriff's office, and we half an hour goes by. Now I'm starting to panic. So I said, pull the sheriff back. Pull the sheriff back. She said, I cannot get the duty. The sheriff tells us we can't get the duty judge on the phone. I said, what do you mean you can't get the duty judge on the phone? She's on 24-hour call. Why isn't she answering the phone? So we waited a little while. I said, call back again. I called the third time. So now what they did was they got the duty prosecutor on the phone. And she called me back and I said, listen, I need an order. I need it right now. And I want to see the duty judge tonight. I'm not waiting for more because it's still going to be out and she could be dead. So she said, I put the duty judge's phone on the call. So she did. I have spoken to Judge so-and-so, and she says it's not an emergency. You are violating this person's due process rights, and you need to go and read Cole versus State. How do I sign this transfer? So I read the case, and it had nothing to do with the issue at hand. And so the next morning I went to off the gun club where they had first appearance, and I saw one of the deputies. I said, who's the duty judge? So I said, if you give him my phone, come on here, and the emergency petition, I want all the sign, I want to review it. The deputy comes back and says, he's busy reading protocols that day, first appearance, he can't see you, get out of here. So we did. When I got out, I placed a call to a member of the Someone's hospital, and I said, what's going on in Palm Beach County? I've got to go and wait for she's going to be out for that 2 hours. She could forget by nothing, and I need to call her, and I can't get you duty just to call, and the first period judge is too busy reading protocols that day to see me. So he said, why you should tell the chief judge. Now, the chief judge happened to be my old boss. When I was a felony prosecutor, she was my boss. And she would take the complaints from the judge would call and say, Mr. Astor, he doesn't do what I want him to do in the courtroom. So I wrote her an email. I said, politely, respectfully, told her the judges didn't do their job. And she wrote back to me and said, Mr. Astor, I've spoken to the two judges, and you have mischaracterized what happened. Have a nice day. And I said, well, so I wrote back to her. I said, Your Honor, would you like me to pull the dispatch tapes from the sheriff's office so you can know what took place in the course? She writes back, and when she wrote back to me, she did a couple of the other judges. She wrote, that won't be necessary, take care. And that was the end of that. So, we got her on Monday. We got her on Monday. But actually, when we were doing the podcast with Sharon, my investigator. So when I do these ex partes, normally, I have to tell you, Palm Beach County is actually the best place to do it. Okay? Especially South Palm Beach County. We have 3 judges here. Judge Burton, Judge Bryson, who's new down here, Judge Jessica Picton, Judge Samantha Shutterfield, who are absolutely amazing. They are so switched on to this stuff, it's unbelievable. Ordering the court last week on an emergency regard, and got Judge Hewitt to give her an order basically allowing a child, we had a child who needed to get injectable medicine and wouldn't do it. And she basically said to the child, I'm ordering you to get this injection, and I'm also ordering, if you don't take it, I'm going to have you held down. You're taking this injection. You're getting it done. So the judges here are very switched on. They understand what happens to kids who have addictions and mental illness. So the best place to do it is here in Palm Beach County. So actually, last night we had a case that came in. I filed it at 7 o'clock last night. At 8 o'clock this morning, I was on the phone with the clerk, and at 5 after 9, I got the order. Well, I knew I had that girl picked up and taken to a receiving facility. So I've got a retired cop and stuff. I'm getting on a sick associate there. I've got Dan's a retired deputy sheriff. I've worked with him for years. And so the way it normally works is that what happens is that the clerk will then take the court's order, the order which says, go and get this person, and they'll fax it to the sheriff's office. So sometime between now and 3 days from now, that person's going to get picked up. I'm not waiting 3 days. I don't even like to wait 3 hours. So the order comes through, it gets emailed to me. I call up Dan and say, Dan, I got a pickup order, go get this person. So Dan, I will email him the order. He will go to the nearest police department, and you walk in and say, I've got a pickup order here, I want 2 of your officers to come with me. And that's what we do. So normally, it's the same day process in Palm Beach County. It can be done within a couple hours. The one this morning, I think we had the order came through at 5 o'clock, and I had it by 11:30, 12 o'clock. So she's now at a receiving facility. So part one is to get that assessment. So they're going to be taken to some type of receiving facility here in Palm Beach County. And then, it's going to tell you you can do it. So I knew I was going to say, as a lawyer, it's really hard for my mouth to keep up with my brain. You have to know that. It's hard. We'll talk about who can do it in a minute. Okay, this is the bit I wanted to get to. So, the assessment period can be anywhere from 5 to 7 days. And actually, the statute says the assessment has to be done within 72 hours. But it also says that once a petition for treatment services is filed, the receiving facility can hold that person until further order of the court. So what that means is I'm going to have them held for at least a week, and maybe even closer to 10 days. Why? Because I want them sober and clean when they come to court. Because when they're sober and clean, they tend to think a little more rational. And they know they need help. They know they need help. So that mishigas, as my father would say, that's going on up here, that need to use, is taking control. But when they've had 10 days not using, they tend to think a little more logically. And so I would tell you that when I get to court, even though that person's getting a lawyer, 70 to 80% of the time, they're going to agree to go to treatment. In Brown, it's a little bit different. I think part of that is because the lawyer down there loves to fight with me. She enjoys litigating. Even then, probably half the cases don't actually go to a hearing. If they go to a hearing, because it's only a civil burden, clear and convincing evidence, which is much lower than, beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal case, not a difficult case to prove. And everything in the Marshman Act is a confidential proceeding. In fact, the statute says the following is part of your confidential medical file. So you've got issues of federal and state law that protect it. And even the hearing. So the hearing, even in Brown, Palm Beach, is done in a room that probably is about a quarter of the size of this. And it's a confidential hearing, which means, unlike a regular court where anybody can walk in and just watch, I was a young Boston, used to watch trials all the time. You can't walk in unless you're a party to the action. The judge will say, are you a party to this? You have to get out. It's confidential. So typically, we ask the judge to issue a period treaty up to 90 days. Not for 90 days, but up to 90 days. So the court can maintain jurisdiction over the case for up to 90 days. And really, it's up to the treatment provider, how that works out. And unfortunately, sometimes that can be dictated by finance, right? What happens if insurance is only going to pay for 30 days of residential treatment or 23 days, and the person needs 60 days? Well, either they're going to some kind of county facility, or they're going to go to some kind of lower level of care, which insurance may or may not pay for, or mom and dad may or may not be willing to pay for. So sometimes that's a problem. Well, we know. All right, we'll go back to the second. What was next? No, okay, confidential. So we get the hearing, and we get a period of 90 days. When a family retains us, they basically are working with us anywhere between 3 and 6 months. Because I know just what the kids tell me that I'm marking at. And I get to talk to most of these kids. They tell me that 90 days is the absolute minimum amount of time for them to start to really start to get into recovery. They really need 6 months. Especially if they've been using it for 5, 10, 15 years. And so typically, any time before the 80th day, I'm going to go back to court and say, Judge, we need more time. We need more time. So I get another assessment done. And I go, like this tomorrow morning, I have a family that came in from, I think they were from New York. Their daughter's been down 3 months now. We're going back into court to get another 3 months. I don't think she's that happy about it, but I'm not going to make it happy to make people alive. So that is the market. The Baker Act. Okay, so I think this is something you want to talk about, right? The Baker Act. So sometimes I get asked, I heard I can Baker Act it. Well, you can, and you can initiate a Baker Act the same way you can a Marchman Act. At the same time, you need to petition the court. The problem is it's really only a 72-hour mental health hold unless there's an issue of competency. So really, 70 trials and they're probably getting out once they've been stabilized, unless there's some other issue. And I've only handled one Baker Act case, and that was a case down in Broward. The family called me and they said, our brother's been Baker Acted, we want you to go down to the hearing because they're talking about sending him to a state mental institution. And if we send him there, well, it's going to be over. So I went down and I met with a young man and he started telling me about, that he was seeing aliens and he felt like he'd been under attack. And I said, well, that might be the case, but I'm just letting you know as your lawyer, if you tell that to the judge, enjoy the state mental health facility. I said, the alternative is I want to get you into a private facility. And that's what we ultimately did. We got him into a private facility and he's great, he's doing well, family's thrilled. So that was the only time we had a Baker Act. But because there was issues of competency, right, we got beyond the 70-hour window and then we had to have a hearing in front of the judge, which actually was done inside the facility.
Mark, have you ever done a Baker converted into a Markman?
Yeah, it's a good question, Terry. So sometimes I'll get a call from a family and say, oh, my son, my daughter has been Baker Acted. We had to call the police, they were out of control, they punched a hole in the window, little Johnny took a knife to his mother's throat, so the police got called, little James took a knife to her mother's throat. Anyway, whatever. We're in a PC world, what can I say? And so the police come along and they Baker Act the person. I actually like that. You know why? Because now I know where they are, I don't have to look for it. I know exactly where they are. We're in South County. So I'm going to get my ex parte petition, and then Dan's going to get the paperwork, and I tell Dan, go down to South County and serve it on them. So the order will say that once they're done, they are not to release this person back out of the street. They're releasing only to law enforcement to be transported to a receiving facility. So what I try to do is not have any gaps, right? That's why I do the first part without having to have a hearing, because if I give them that person a week's notice, one or two things are happening. We're either overdosing or running. That's not good, right? I think of myself as like a dentist. People only call me when they really, really need to do something. Right? It's funny, because I was telling older today, I was having a really bad toothache. I went to see a dentist like 6 months ago. Told me I had a little, I had a cavity filling. He tried 6 times to numb my jaw, and after 6 times I said, forget it, I'll take the cavity. But now my tooth is starting to rot, and now I'm in pain. And I'm like, I really have to call the dentist. So I'm like the dentist, right? They call me when they really, really need something, because nobody wants to call, and nobody wants to face the idea that they're having to involuntarily commit a job. So, will this go on my record? So, when it comes to criminal cases, if the charges get dropped, so say they went through some kind of diversion program, they went through drug court, that means we can go through what's called an expungement process, which is a 6 to 9 month process, which basically asks a judge to order the clerk of court to wipe it off of the public record. So it's basically not there. The Marchman Act is also a confidential proceeding, but there have been some issues with both of these, and I'll explain to you. So, we have this wonderful thing called the internet. What happens is that after you get arrested and the sheriff posts your mugshot, your wonderful bar mitzvah photograph on their website, well, these little websites have their graphic photograph too. So now I've got the charges dropped. I've gone through the 6 to 9 month process of getting the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the state attorney's office and the judge, all the very we should fund the record. And along comes one of these websites that says, I have your photograph, and for $500 I'm willing to take you down. So we have that problem. With the Marchman Act, and I found out this the hard way, even though it's a confidential proceeding, the statute, and every time I read the Marchman Act, and it's a kind of a thick, chapter 3 minutes is kind of this thick, every time I read it, I learn something new. And I've read it 100 times. But there is an exception there for federal law. And basically, I had a young man who was down here, we got him clean, we went back up to North Carolina, and wanted to go get a firearm, and he did a background check, and they found that he had been Marchman Acted. It indicated he had an involuntary commitment. Under their law, he can't get a firearm. He couldn't get a firearm. So the family was like, he told us it was confidential. So we went back to statute, and there it was. Exception to federal law. So, I'm sorry, there's an exception. I can't help you, but I'm sure they're not going to go in and actually look at pleadings. But yeah, it's there. I had another kid who actually applied to be in the military, and he had a Baker Act. They also found that too. And that's supposed to be confidential as well. So these things are supposed to be confidential, but sometimes they're not. Okay, so let's talk about some of the challenges that we face in our practice. The Marchman Act has been on the books since 1993 in various iterations. It changes all the time. In fact, we're actually going to have lunch tomorrow with the state representative who wants to try and change the Marchman Act and ask us to take a look at it with them. So the problem is, though, families come to us and say, we heard about this thing called the Marchman Act. When did this become law? Is this a new law? They say, no, it's been on the books since 1993. But nobody knows about it. People just don't know about it. So families don't realize it's something they can do. There's action they can take, right? And these are statistics that I pulled offline. They say a third of all families in this country are somehow affected by drug and alcohol addiction. Many times there's a mental health component. And in Florida, the biggest problem is that 80% of people who are in treatment down here are not from Florida. So, we had this whole thing going on in Florida with the Florida shuffle, right? And, I got to give Dave Ehrenberg a lot of credit for this, and we've really cleaned up the industry. I think even 2 days ago I was reading the Post about some people who got pinched for patient brokering. So, it used to be come down to Florida to get well, and then, you have all those unscrupulous people who took advantage of that situation, and we've gotten a bad rap. But I will tell you, there are some really good treatment providers down here. Some of them are actually in the room. How about that, Andrew? Terry. There's some really good treatment down here. And in fact, I get families that come down here and they tell me the reason they want a child down here is because where they live, in Indiana or Ohio, there's no selection, there's no treatment centers. The niggas want a whole state, two in the whole state. And they come down here because they want to get their kids clean. So we do have good treatment down here. And if you combine that with the Marchman Act, we give them some kind of legal safety, right? Mom and dad are 1,500 miles away, 3,000 miles away. And little Johnny walks out of treatment. Well, you have a Marchman Act. Good luck. So, another challenge, family dynamics. This is an interesting one. So, a lot of the time, first of all, when we get a call, it's normally the mother that calls. And I will tell you, I have lost count of how many crying mothers I have spoken to. I've got a case now where the mother is a retired FBI agent. And she called me the other day. She was so emotional. When my father was sick, I'll tell you, this is an interesting story. When my father was sick, I remember one time, I think this time we must have just bundled him into the car. My mother and I just rode into over here at Boca. And, I put him in the ICU, and, somebody's really sick, they put these machines on you that are bells and whistles, they stick tubes up. Wherever they can put them, they put them, right? And I just remember seeing my father lying there. And, it was myself, my sister, my brother, and my mother. And I looked at my mother, and I looked at my siblings, and I could see that pain in their eyes. I could see what it was doing. I could see what it was doing to us as a family, the trauma. Here's my father, he's sick, and we're in crisis. We're in emotional crisis. I think one of the first cases I handled, when I opened up my practice 3 years ago, I had a criminal case, and I had a young man. He was about 30 years old. He had trauma since he was about 15 years old. Started with mental health issues, and he started to self-medicate. And he'd already been to prison once by the time he came to me, and he was charged with aggravated stalking in violation of injunction. And so what would happen is that, he would get involved in a relationship with a young lady, and after a couple months, she'd figure out, there was some things going on here, and she just was like, I can't do this, I'm sorry. We're done. And so he would continue to harass the girl, so she'd take out an injunction against him. He'd violate that, and he'd be put on probation. He violated probation, and then he got to jail. Well, after you get a couple of these injunctions, violations and probation violations, you end up getting charged with a felony. So they charged him with aggravated stalking, and ultimately he went to prison. So he came to me, and I just remember the first time I met the parents, I had a circular desk in my office, enough for 4 people to sit around. So I'm sitting here, I've got the kids sitting there, and God, they look terrible. I had the father sitting here, and the mother sitting here, and I looked at them and I had a flashback for a second. I could see the pain in their eyes. I really could. They were just absolutely, they were done. And I looked at the father, and I swear, I thought he was going to reach across the desk and strangle the kid right in front of him. He said to the kid, how can you do this again? How can you do this? They were done. That family spent $100,000 to get this kid clean. I had him treated for 9 months, and the judge sent him to prison anyway. First time in 24 years I had a client go to prison. And he said to me as they took him out of the court, he said, I get more drugs in prison than I ever did out in the street. I don't know what kind of condition he's going to be when he gets
Mark,
out.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why is it again, did I miss it, that why treatment centers do not, don't really love the Mark on that?
Well, I didn't say they didn't love it. I just don't know. First of all, what's that there?
They don't know about it.
Yes, they don't know about it. They don't know about it.
Or they're misinformed about it.
They're all misinformed. There is absolutely right.
Okay.
They don't know about it. Yes. Oh, yes.
Just as far as getting the Washington, the treatment center, is that possible that detox level care or
Say that one more time.
having the Washington process that would be in a detoxification level of care? Or
Sure. Because I typically use some type of detox in my receiving facility. Private facilities that can do an assessment. Because if somebody's, like this girl who was found unconscious and naked, she's going to need detox, right? So, I'm going to use a facility that can do the detox too. It's not written in the statute. It's an assessment of stabilization. But to me, stabilization means detox too if you need it.
So are there any challenges within that process? Because the assessments would technically be done by the treatment provider, or should be at least.
No, the assessment's done by the receiving facility.
Has to be done by the treatment.
Yeah, the court's not going to order treatment without an assessment. In fact, the statute says that before you request a treatment service hearing, you're supposed to file an assessment. And I found out that the hard way because I went to a hearing in the north end of the county, which is manned by Magistrate Diane Kerrigan, who's a very nice lady. Well, she's been very nice to me lately. The first time I went in front of her, the deputy said to me, Mr. Astor, have you filed your assessment? I said, no, I've got it here right here. And I've got my expert here. I've got the license of the health counselor. And I heard a scream from the courtroom that I will never forget. And from that point on, I always made sure I had my assessment filed before I had a hearing. Because the statute says you shouldn't file a treatment services request until you have an assessment filed. Now, sometimes it doesn't work that way. I will normally request a hearing almost immediately after the pickup. Then I'll file the assessment. But the assessment, either way, is going to have to be done before treatment is ordered, or it's not getting ordered. Because the judge will look at me and say, Mr. Astor, how do you know? I get it, they need criteria, but how do I know what to order or if I should order anything? And actually, ironically, the case of the judge, the duty judge who refused to make my call that sent me was a case that talked about, it was a guy who had been Marchman acted, sent to treatment, violated the treatment code, and then got held in contempt, which is basically the relief that you would seek for somebody who violates a Marchman Act court order. And the appellate court reversed it. They said, no, you can't hold in contempt because you didn't follow the procedures of the Marchman Act. You didn't have an assessment first. You went right to a treatment services hearing, you put on testimony, and then the magistrate sent that first to treatment without an assessment being done. So it's got to be done first.
Now, I understand from a legal perspective, but from a logical perspective, doesn't that actually create more people that would be less willing to be in treatment, so the resistance from people who are getting Marchman Act are going to be higher, whereas if you have somebody who's already willing to go to treatment and then wants to continue and be committed to it, because they're already there and part of the process, and Marchman Act comes then, that they're more likely then to continue and finish the prolonged treatment.
Okay, so in theory I could Marchman Act somebody who's already in treatment. I've done that. I had a young lady, so this family came to me, and they just couldn't do it. And 6 months went by, and the daughter got worse and worse and worse. Terrible trauma. She'd been sexually assaulted in school. Terrible addiction to whatever you think of. And so they hired an interventionist who got the girl to go voluntarily to a treatment center in the center of the state, in Marion County. And what I did was, I followed the Marchman Act in Marion County, and I got a order that says, you will stay where you are, and the treatment center that you're at, well, they're going to do an assessment. And then I drove up to Marion County, which is central Florida, and we had a treatment center. So I didn't want to pull her out to send her to someone that could do an assessment. I made the treatment center do the assessment for me.
Sure.
So,
well, they should. They have all the licensed clinicians and every.
They have. You're right. And I guess in theory I could have somebody picked up and taken to a treatment center, but if they need detox, I got to have a facility to do a detox.
Yeah.
Wow. So.
It's just the interesting part was always with the receiving facility, and then the challenge that you talked about with treatment providers, it's usually within that. Usually the receiving facilities was not available for them to convert that into a market as I've seen it, is that that's always been one of the kind of the interesting challenges. Is you want to have somebody market because it's in their best interest. Maybe they're even willing to do all this process, but there isn't really as many receiving facilities that they can convert that into a continuum of care.
Okay, so here's probably the elephant in the room, which is if you don't have health insurance or the ability to pay for treatment, good luck.
Yeah, right.
And that sounds cold, but it's the truth. And I told this to John Hewlett, who was our drug czar, a great guy, working hard to try to fix this problem. But we don't make treatment available to everybody. And it's going to be in business for many, many years to come, so we're all locked in here. So I will tell you, normally I'm using a private facility. And I got a call order down here, and a call order said to the police, take the person to this particular facility. And they ended up taking the person to the Drug Abuse Foundation, which...
No worries.
No, I'm going to tell you what happened. It's not bad. It's just that they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. And instead of having the person there for 5 to 7 or 10 days, they were in and out in 3 hours.
In and out.
3 hours for the assessment. And I had a family call me who were really upset. And I called Dad and I said, what the hell happened? They're back on the streets. He said, I don't know. And it turned out the police didn't want to read the order. And they took them when they wanted to take them anyway, which was DAF, which is, in theory, a martial act receiving facility. But I can't have somebody in and out 3 hours. I want the statute says they can hold them for 5 to 7 days, and they can hold them longer once they file for a treatment service here. I want them held for that 7 to 10 days. I don't want any gaps. I want to go from pickup to the receiving facility, to a hearing, to a treatment. No gaps.
Which begs the question then, why can't it be done other than just the receiving facility? Why can't it be done in an educational way? That's, I guess, from a statute perspective, it should be maybe revisited.
Well, the statute says receiving facility. I mean, you can use a detox as a receiving facility. I use the treatment center in Central Florida as my assessing facility. As long as it's done by somebody who has the credentials to do it, it can be done anyway. So, I think your point's up. And actually, one other thing that you talked about, I want to address, which was the whole idea of, I think you said this, was the whole idea of forcing somebody into treatment. Yeah. Okay, and that's a good question. So back to the family dynamics. So sometimes, Mom calls me, she's crying, right? Save my child, save a little girl, save a little day. And we talk and I say, is this a decision you're going to need to make with your husband? This is father in the picture. And 9 times out of 10, yeah, it's a family decision. It's a family disease. It's a family decision. Right? And sometimes what happens is that the parents, they're on different pages. And I ask them, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? You called me for a reason. What do you want me to do? Right? You call me because you want me to help you get your child treated. Okay? Yeah, I'm going, okay, great. But if it's a family decision, let's have a discussion with the family, right? If both parents need to make a decision, let's talk about that, right? So, a lot of time on the phone with mom and dad. But if dad's saying, I want to practice tough love, but I'm kicking him out of the house, I'm kicking her out of the house, and mother says, I want treatment, you've got a problem there, right? You've got to have both parents on the same page, and sometimes it doesn't happen because both parents are not on the same page. And sometimes it's divorced parents who are calling me. And I've had dad say, he'll call me and say, it's her fault. It's her kids this way. You just need to quit kicking the backside. Your kid's been addicted to coke for 15 years. You think he needs to kick in the rear end. Okay. So that's the problem. That sometimes is what the family dynamics are about. And I've had ex-spouses march around each other because that's rather the experience.
Do you ever bring a mediator into a situation like that where the family is battling about what legally to do?
I don't. Sometimes an interventionist will get involved, and that can really be helpful, actually. Your interventionist can probably do a better job than I can in explaining the clinical aspects of what's going on, right? And so sometimes when there's an intervention, that really, really helps. It's a big difference. But if you can't get everybody in the family on the same page, and sometimes they're just not ready to do it. And I think the statistics bear out that that somebody who's caught forced into treatment is just likely going to recovery to somebody who's not. And I never think about it as forcing somebody into treatment. I really don't. And I tell the family, I don't want to force you into treatment. But I do. But if we're going to talk about doing this, you have to decide, are you willing to make the decision for your child that your child can't make? Because your kid can make that decision. They've made it already. So it's not about forcing them. It's about making the decision they can't make. That's it. Are you willing, and look, I tell them, the Marchman Act is a very different course of action for people who want a different result. It really is, and it's not easy. And those mums and dads who make the decision, I tell you, I have nothing but respect. It's a difficult decision. It's a brave decision. It's a brave decision. It's not an easy decision to make. I don't take it lightly when it comes to who want to do it. I know it's a difficult decision for them. So, which is why we take calls at all hours of the night and the weekends, because it's a stressful time for their parents, right? I mean, we're dealing with someone's most precious asset, their child. I'm going to be 52 in a couple of weeks. My mother still thinks I'm a little boy. Will pull me, make sure, one, that I eat, and two, am I wearing clean underwear. That is a Jewish mother for you, right? So however old you get, you never stop being a child to your parents.
That's true.
Right? Oh, here's our contact information. How about that? I'm going to leave our business cards, but needless to say, I'm all over social media. I have a great podcast, convincing with a lot of great people, and we do it because, one, we want to work, we love to raise awareness about what we do, but I've interviewed a lot of great. The first one I did was with Darryl Strawberry. I had Darryl Strawberry come over with his wife and talk about his journey into addiction and recovery. And, I mean, we've had so many great people on the show, but the whole point is to try and inspire some people, to let them know that, it's not... There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel, right? You can do something. And so, I mean, I'll give everybody my business cards. We're on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube and the podcast and all other fun stuff. So, and if you have questions about guardianship, Audrey is the best guardianship lawyer in all of South Florida. She really is. And I have to tell you, I'm sorry, I'm going to embarrass you. The mums and dads love her, but I'll tell you who loves her more than the mums and dads. The judges. I go into court in Palm Beach County, and I walk in, I see one of the judges I know, and give the thing with the judge, and she says, Mr. Astor, how is Audrey? I say, Your Honor, she's good. Mr. Astor, would you tell Audrey I send my regards? Your Honor, I will. When she goes to the judge, I say, how's Mr. Astor doing? No more, Mr. Astor. So, she told I couldn't help myself. She's my right hand too. I mean, I could do it without her. So, do you have any questions for all of us? Anyways, thank you for allowing me.
Very quick.
I love questions.
When someone is served with a Marchman Act, aren't they provided with legal counsel and they want to recover them?
So when they get to the treatment substitute, the statute says they're entitled to a lawyer. So if like when you get in a criminal case, the court's going to basically ask them some paperwork and ask them if they have finances and basically make a determination as to whether they have the financial ability to hire a lawyer. If they don't, the court's going to appoint a lawyer. So the Office of Regional Counsel has lawyers in all the hearings that are actually very, very good lawyers. And we'll get appointed particularly just for that hearing that's going to get contested. And I want the lawyer speaking. Before the hearing, I'll say to the lawyer, look, this is my next case. Go over there and talk to us. And I give him the petition and he says, why? Because I want to understand what's going on. I'm not trying to trick anybody here. Right? I mean, I want this person, this young person, to understand what they're doing. Right? So you get it. I mean, this isn't, I'm pulling a fast on you.
That person, your patient, can request their own hearing. They usually don't, but they actually can. I just learned that.
Can what?
Yeah. So the person is a patient that is being Marchman acted, that individual can request their own hearing on their own behalf.
At what point?
During the process.
Well, no. So the assessment period can be initiated by having a hearing. So you can basically file a petition with the court and say, I'd like to have a hearing for the court to determined that there's a reasonable basis for my request to have little Johnny, little Jane assessed, right? That requires a hearing, and it also takes time, and little Johnny and little Jane may not show up. Now I'm kind of weak, but they're not using, which means if they do get assessed, they might somehow pass the urine test or whatever it is. Now they're clean, right? So I don't want to do it here. And the calls that come to me are ones where there's time to wait. They're emergencies. Do it now. So we do it now. So we took a call yesterday. The one we did this morning. That call came in at 3. By 6 it was filed. It was filed and we were on. So.
I think what I'm asking is, I heard that Marshall was arrested for theft. If you requested it, and you didn't know that you requested one hearing. Is that possible?
I've never heard of that. But if I don't file part 2, which is to request a hearing, it's expiring anyway. They're out. And I've also had receipt facilities. So, I rely on typically the parents telling me what's going on. I had down with New York there with 2 sons. One is a famous athlete, so I won't name him down, obviously, and the other son was the younger son, was a serious athlete. And they told me this, that, and the other. So I had to pick it up, send to a receipt, see where it brown, and they tested him, and it was completely clean.
Wow.
And so they told me and said, no. It's done again. So let them go. So parents told me and they said, who told us? The help twice a day. I said, I texted him and there's nothing in his system. So either something's going on here, right? I had another fellow, I think it was the very first one I did. The family sat with me and said, they were telling me about their daughter's horrendous use of marijuana. Using every day. Always high, never works. I'll get out of bed. So I get into the hearing, I put the following test on, I said, so would you please tell the magistrate about your daughter's use of marijuana? Well, she smokes, maybe once or twice a month. So now the magistrate is looking at me like Mr. Astor, what are we doing here? So sometimes, every once in a while, a case will go sideways. That's just the way it is.
Do you have a lot of experience of having people send family members from out of state to Florida to participate in this? Because not a lot of states have market.
Yeah, I had a kid. So I had 2 instances like that. One, I tried to get the kid picked up at the airport. My father and brother, but the parents went together, and Mom, Dad was doing this, and instead of coming to Florida, he went to Vegas. So I got a call order down here, a pickup order, and I called, and now I knew exactly. I knew his room number in Vegas. I knew when he was moving because he was using his credit card. We knew where he was. I even had the police do a wellness check on him. Bang on his door. This is hotel in Vegas. He was gambling and smoking weed. I spent 5 days on the phone with the Metro Bay Police. I said, I've got a pickup here from Florida. And they would not pick him up. I said, I'll pay, I'll ship him, I'll FedEx him, I'll UPS him, I'll do everything. So aggressive. Just grabbing for me. They said, no, we won't do it. Then I had another kid who came from an Orthodox family who came down here, and this case went on for months because the parents didn't want to make the decision. And finally, the kid's mental habit was so out of control. So we filed in Dade County, which is a whole other adventure down in Dade County. So I sent Dan down there, and Dan, with the Miami Beach Police Department, followed this kid around for 3 days. Every time we went to grab him, he was gone. So we finally got him at the Fontainebleau Hotel, where he was so high on meth, he decided to fight with the 2 police officers and my investigator before they could cuff him and get him. And I'm glad Dan was there, because if he'd have fought with the other 2 cops, they probably would have shot him or tased him. So we had him down there, he stayed for 3 weeks in treatment, and then he hightailed it. He was in Bradley, hightailed the full order airport, and went back up to New York. I had a pickup order, I had a court order, and the family and the police up there, God bless you, are willing to execute on the Florida pickup. I said, great. I was shocked. I was really surprised. I said, great, let's get him. And they said, community who really wanted to send it back to Florida. And ultimately they decided they didn't want to do it. So it really depends on the jurisdiction. So it has its limits. Getting out of state, being another county to recognize things is difficult. So,
It's nice to have a family member taking this trip to Florida. They come and they're going to be doing a trip to Florida.
oh, I've done some devious stuff. I will share that with you. I am aware. I had a call for a rabbi in New York. Rabbi calls me. Rabbi calls me. He says, my daughter has a terrible drug problem. Actually, she's in New York. And for 6 months. She's a terrible drug problem. So I said, where is it? Where is she? So she says, well, she's in Brown. And I said, do you think she would like a weekend in Boca? He said, well, why do you say that? I said, well, because I don't understand it and get it really, really quickly. I don't browse a little slow. So we put her in a hotel in Boca. I think that hotel is on the, if you come down the exit ramp and come over Saturday or 95, there's a hotel there, by the gas station. So we put her in there. And so I got the call over and I said, Dad, she's a hotel. Come get her. So Dad goes in there to the police, and this girl had needles and pills and coke stuffed down in her bra. She was covered in pot marks. The room was, they still wiped out. I thought it was fentanyl. We really were. I mean, the room was messed. She didn't be dead by the following weekend. So I've done deviant stuff like that. And anyway, the rabbi called me, wished me good Yom Tov and Happy New Year, and thanked me for saving his child. But we had her treatment actually 6 months ago.
Hey, Mark. I got a question because I'm relatively new to
treatment. By the way, I'm the only one who can possibly understand.
Yeah.
Translate. Actually, you can translate for me.
But we know somebody who's worked the whole system of the drugs and is actively using and has done for like 15 years or so, the whole gamut of everything, and has been in and out of, I don't know how many, at least 10 or 12 different rehabs, some for 60, 90 days, some for 30. And a lot of the ones in Florida here, they've actually given a drug, different medications to get out with, and that just propensity, or whatever the word is.
Makes it worse.
Propagates the problem, yeah. So, we did the March for NAC. And went to Colorado, and we went and picked them up on graduation, and then that night they were doing meth and heroin, whatever the whole stuff is. So it's very disheartening to think that we've done so many things to get this person help, and they've been the gamut, and they know how to work the whole story, and it's just really watching the train wreck as it comes down to absolutely nothing, and then the last final, I can't get any more drugs anywhere, so then it's back into detox, and so it's hard to find some hope through the process of the whole thing. So I don't even know what the question is. But
I know what you're saying. So I'll share my goals with you. Because I get those calls too. And they say, what's this here, right? It's a hard conversation to have. And I'm not a clinician, but I've seen enough. Sometimes that miracle takes time. Sometimes that miracle never happens. We'll call it last job. Acts.
I'd share my thought.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. We're talking about a chronic, progressive, often fatal illness that, if not set up for a lifespan recovery management plan, just like a diabetic doesn't go and get diagnosed and put on metformin and told that if you don't follow this plan I'm laying out for you and change your diet, you're going to be dependent on insulin, injecting insulin before long. And they don't, and then they're dependent on insulin, and they start losing limbs. Obviously, the progression of one disease is different than the other, and as I said, often fatal. So the earlier we can get a family and a patient on board with, this is a life plan that has to be laid out. We're talking about lifespan recovery management, managing the disease.
That's a great point.
Over a course of a lifetime, it's not an acute episode.
Yeah. The ones that seem to get things, they work the program.
What
Terry's 100% right. He knows what to do when it comes to that stuff.
Some of these places that she goes into, they tell her that it's a disease and it's normal to relapse. So for me, I don't understand that, like setting people up to relapse, you know what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead.
So whoever's reading that, I don't know.
This is a condition, and substance use disorder is characterized. One of the characteristics is relapse and remission. But what I would say to you is that there is also recovery. You're talking about hope. There's recovery for families and places for families who have this shared experience, this shared, yearning for hope. And in addition to resources that can be shared. How do I get through this? How do I stop, contributing to the problem? My husband and I are, on different stages. That's also characteristic of this disease. So what we would offer to you is a mutual aid group on the resource list out there. We have, 12-step programs, families anonymous programs, the national contact numbers where you can go and you can find people who've gone through what you're going through, whether or not your loved one is using it.
She's been in and out of that 12-step thing. She doesn't believe.
I'm talking about you.
No, okay. Oh, we.
I just want to piggyback on Sharon. That the most important thing that I needed to hear when I was in a similar situation as you're describing was that I wasn't alone. Because when I was going through it, I felt like no one understood the havoc and the chaos that was going on in my family unit. I had 2 other children at the time. Our name was dragged through the mud on TV, and I never felt so alone. So if I could just let you know you are not alone, and you don't need to go through what you described alone. And I'm happy to talk to you afterwards and let you know what things have helped me and my family.
I do want to address what I was just talking about. We do have a problem with Palm Beach County. And we have for a long time now. The Dave Ehrenberg is working on that. But you can't clean up all the rehabs that are taking cash. They're using revolving door on our children. It just is going to take more time. Let's develop it. It's going to take more time.
A lot of our advice to Dave Ehrenberg and everybody else is that kids that are coming here from other parts of the country, they should probably go back to where they're coming from, and that hopefully their families have been receiving as much education and help while they've been in treatment. And if they're going to come down here for treatment, they shouldn't just stay here because their families are well down there. They're safe. It's just not the right thing to do. And the more we can get people plane tickets and bus tickets back home, we find them out there that they've been kicked out because, it's better.
I think there's a couple of questions back here. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, I wanted to touch that topic a little bit. Cool. But I do want to mention one kind of case actually where a marketing act was unconventional but interesting. And I figured it may shed some light with a spouse. He said sometimes spouses that I had a case where it was in fact the spouse that marketing acted with her husband. And it was very interesting because he was one of those people who knew the system a little better than most people should know the system, and he actually knew exactly how to almost sort of navigate the Marchman Act, even though after he signed it. So that was interesting because he wanted to petition it after he signed it, which I didn't know was impossible, but he kept showing up to the meeting. So he was like one of those responsible alcoholics that was like, I will still make it to these hearings and continue to petition it. But in the meantime, he obviously didn't want to violate his Marchman Act, so he went to treatment. Why I mention that is in the time that he was in treatment, he started addressing some of the other issues, especially his wife, that were causing him some strife. And in the process, he actually he stayed in treatment, actually stayed in longer than the 90 days that he was required. And even though the Marshman Act was kind of a non-direct way, but it actually repaired both their marriage. They're still sober today, and happily with his wife now and living at home. But it repaired their marriage, but also gave them a little bit of time to reevaluate the entire picture. And just something that I mentioned, it's not always like we don't always know the way the whole picture works, because sometimes the ending it kind of just works out. And he was a happy ending. That was one of those ways where Marshman Act was definitely unpleasant at the time, and nobody was happy, not the wife, not the husband. She was going to court almost every other day because she tried to file it on her own, which apparently don't do. I heard it from.
Thank you for saying that.
From year to year, I've heard it because I had to deal with the other part of that. Her stress of coming to me saying, "Why are we going to all these hearings all the time?" So yeah, it was. But the other part of it was at the end of the day, it was able with treatment, and that's I think the key kind of component with treatment in the middle of it, trying to resolve some of the other conflicts. His alcoholism, their family dynamics that are obviously weren't healthy at the time, and as well as the minor components of their lives, it works out. It can work out. Sometimes time is what needed in these extreme situations. And that's a good thing that I guess Florida has that opportunity to show some people that's right. She has something to say.
Me?
Yeah,
I don't know this one at all. But rumor has it she gives a great hug.
You'll have to censor me if I go too long. So I talked to two reps. I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's name, but you just said about being alone. And it's a little hard. I have really good hearing. Some because I get the air conditioning back in. So I didn't really hear what you said. But I guess I'm assuming, and it's a little off the top of the Marshman Act, so obviously because you're helping, it's the same topic, if you will. But, my son has been struggling for over 8 years. I'm doing well for the moment right now. 2 months ago, I'm probably at death's door. With that being said, I did feel alone for very many years. I was throwing all kinds of, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, do a launch man, do it yourself, here's a package, pay $20. And then pick them up. So the bottom line is there's going to be a lot of information that's thrown at all of us. And I wanted to say this. I find it, uncomfortable that in such an important time in our lives when we're trying to handle this epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, horrificness, that these rooms are not filled. It drives me insane. I mean, I am a parent. Now, there are plenty of parents who I know who should be here, who really, really can't, but are at other things. If we don't stand up for our children, and it could be, you said your mom told you at 52, and I try and tell my son Dylan is 26, he'll be 27, that I will be calling him, well, come on, yeah, but 52, and maybe not asking those same questions, but I'll usually ask him, like, did you call your mom? But the bottom line is it's really our responsibility as parents and loved ones to show up. We send our kids to treatment, we do whatever it is that we can, and we expect people to come back different, but what are we going to do about it? Are we going to change anything? Now, I might not have done anything so terribly wrong. I might have gone to therapists who really couldn't find any terrible dynamics in my household. But how was I going to handle it? Was I going to pull his hair out of his head and drag him to treatment? Well, I'll try that. That didn't work. We're going to kick him out of the house? Yeah, and then not feel bad and not know where he was. So it is incumbent upon us as parents and lovers. I don't say only parents, because like Jonathan just said, there's a husband and a wife. But I don't know what's going to be done, and it drives me crazy to enter these rooms, and we take your time, and we all take our time to be here. This is standing room. This is killing every thousand, one every 11 minutes? And I don't know what to do or how to, other than reach out to other parents,
I call it sharing without shame. I do share. It's not that I'm proud of my son that he did crack or coke or heroin. It's not. I'm sick to my stomach about it, and it's sad. And his family disease, this is a family disease. This destroyed me. Destroyed my 4-year-old mother. So we are all in this together. We all have the same feelings, and we do have to share with each other. I think it's very important that we share. We go to a meeting on Tuesday mornings. I don't know if it's something that we would just throw out there. It's a coalition. Some of us go because we want to try and make differences, and sometimes the meetings are frustrating, sometimes they're great. I've met a lot of great people, and I don't feel alone anymore. Do I feel happy all the time? Absolutely not. Am I sick to my stomach a lot of the time? Yes, I am. But I don't feel alone. I feel like I can come and have a voice and share with other people, and I feel the obligation to do that. I've met a lot of wonderful people in these rooms. He doesn't see me pointing behind him. But, that have been amazing, to amaze, really. So, I don't know if I went on too long or...
No. I did want to address one of the, you spoke eloquently, and but one of the things that is standing out for me is why aren't these rooms filled? And I've done drug and alcohol coalitions up north in Madison, Connecticut, and we ran into the same problem there. I was doing it for over 10 years. But what I want to tell you is that it's not about filling the rooms with quantity of people. You people need to be commended that you showed up tonight. And if you can learn one thing tonight that you didn't know before you walked in this door, you're going to leave here and you're going to go tell someone else. And then you're going to go tell someone else. And then that someone is going to tell someone else. And when we have this series next year, these rooms will be a little bit more filled. But it takes time. There's a very large stigma in every community, no matter what town, country, state you're in, about drug and alcohol. Not my house, not my kids, not my family. And that's all over this world. But it takes time and it takes a village to educate and to have community conversation. And just the fact tonight that we were able to have a conversation and we were able to learn and educate ourselves, that's what these series are about. And hopefully next time we have another series next month, we'll be twice the amount of people and someone will hear something they didn't hear. So for me, being a part of JFS Cares is about educating and having a conversation. And you started a great conversation. And we got a lot of information tonight. So for me, this was a win-win evening.